I'm Lucia, and I would just remind you to think back in the way that the Vietnam War, the war against Vietnam was eventually stopped was the Congress defunded it, and I would encourage you to go in that direction, please.
Okay.
I have a question. My name's Sue Ann. You were talking about a partner in democracy. Do you believe the Afghan people have the right to self-determination?
Well, I do, but I also believe that they have, with the Taliban and the past there has not exactly allowed them to have a right to self-determination, and that's part of what's going on here with, when girls would go to school and have acid thrown in their face. Part of what the focus and the goal and the purpose is to try to get them to that place where they can have self-determination and self-rule.
But that's not, imposing democracy is not really self-determination. And I don't want to get into a big argument about that because it's not the basic issue, but I do think it's important to think in those terms because they have a right to their own governments. And
I agree they have the right to the government, and that's what I think that we would agree on that. It's just how you get them there is the issue.
Amy, this is Ward Brennan from Veterans for Peace.
Hi, Ward.
And, we're hearing terrible news out of Afghanistan, and the two facts that strike me is that I hear over and over again that it's a war we can't win. That's one point. And the other point is just today, our soldiers killed a number of innocent civilians. And the whole country is in an uproar over that, and they're burning tires in the streets. That just happened today. And every time something like that happens, we create more Taliban than we kill. We're just making our enemies all over.
Yes.
yeah, right.
Yeah, Amy, my name is Jane McDonald, and I'm actually almost speechless.
Okay.
To think, however, I'll try and go on here.
Okay,
To
please
think,
do.
yeah, thank you. To think that war and this kind of violence and corruption and destruction of Holy Mother Earth and these people's land and the land in itself is a solution to bring democracy any place on the Holy Earth is just a tragic attitude. And it's like, I know, it feels like I know you personally better than to actually believe that. So, and I have just a small item here, and I want you to listen up carefully to it. For whom does the bell toll, Amy? It's tolling for everyone, no matter what our address is, no matter where we are on this sacred planet Earth. And truly we beg you, there are many people in this room begging you, constituents from Minnesota, that are just abhorred by what's happened. And we beg you to please bring yourself to your knees and your conscience to stop this war by a vote. The money, follow the money. Thank you very much, Amy.
Okay, thank you, Jane.
Hi, Senator Klobuchar, this is Colleen Raleigh.
Oh, hi, Colleen.
And I'm always watching the intelligence out there, and there's a lot of leaks about the civilian and casualties. There's apparently more that's going to be coming out. This is very telling because it shows that our own military understands the situation. This did happen in Vietnam. There was a point where the Walter Cronkite moment, if you want to call it that, when people actually on the ground know that what they're doing is wrong. And they take this enormous step of then telling the truth, which is very, very difficult if you're in one of these organizations, telling the truth about what's going on. And if you have to, even going to WikiLeaks. I think we're at nearly 9 years, which is twice as long as World War II. And of course the other issue here is the enormous amount of money that it's taking. And I'm seeing this on every level, every political party. People are getting very, very worried about this debt that's escalating. And it's going to take a lot of political courage to stop it, because of course nobody wants to say that it stopped on the president certainly has a difficult time of this, but in the Congress, you guys are supposed to be the check. You're supposed to be the ones declaring the war, etc. So I think that it's going to, have some tough talks with your colleagues, and really think about this, because the women's rights issue is, you know, I know Obama threw it out there kind of as a kind of a justification, but people know that we're not helping win hearts and minds or helping women's rights when we're killing women and children. It's just the opposite.
Marie, would you like to wrap
Is there
this up?
one
or-
last comment?
One
Yeah,
last
I
one?
guess, Bill wants to say something.
Yeah, Senator Klobuchar, this is Bill from Red Wing.
Hi, Bill.
Hello. It seems to me that one way or another, we are going to have to deal with the Taliban. And they have time on their side, we don't. And it's either we deal with them or we're gonna have to kill all of them. There's only two options here. And we don't know who's a Taliban and who isn't. So how are we gonna resolve this issue? We can't go on fighting the Taliban forever.
Right, I think part of this, and I want to distinguish it from Al Qaeda, but the part of this was trying to actually recruit. If you look at what they were talking about with Crystal and Karzai, is to actually talk to some of the people who were more peaceful that formerly had been with the Taliban, to get them on the side of the government, as in the Afghan government. And I know that's something they were trying to do. Again, I think the reason the president has said that our commitment is not open-ended, and the reason I said that to Karzai when I went to Afghanistan, is because if the past is a lesson, when you look at some of this, it hasn't worked with the Afghans in trying to make this work. The hope is that we will make this attempt so that they can have civil society and democracy, and let girls go to school and all those things. But I think the reason the president left it open-ended is that he was aware of the many concerns that you're raising here.
Open-ended?
That is not open-ended, I misspoke.
Yeah, well, Amy, this is Marie Brown again. We want to thank you very much. I do want to say that from what I'm reading, the women say they're worse off. I don't know if you've seen the book A Woman Among Warlords. And she talks about, she was in the parliament, she talks about she was pushed out of the parliament, how things are much worse for women in Afghanistan than before this war started. And she said the Americans must get out if anything is going to get better for them. We know that this is one of the most corrupt governments. I think it's one of the 4 most corrupt governments in the world right now. And I don't see how we are going to be able to work with this government and come out with anything better than coming home right now. I mean, this is just more, it's just gonna be more of the same. I don't see how it's gonna become any different. And we need to support our schools, we need to support the people that are losing their homes, we need to support healthcare. We got so many things we need to support, and we're just pouring money into war, into killing people.
And I think, you know, one thing we...
It's time to stop.
Go for it. I want to let you finish.
No, I'm finished, thank you.
Okay, and I appreciate that point. One thing we did mention was just the whole issue with Pakistan and the nuclear weapons, and the sort of the synergy with Afghanistan and Pakistan. And we don't have to go into the whole thing, but I did want to commend the president for what he did the last few days of finally focusing the world's attention on nuclear weapons. And I'm sure many there believe that he didn't go far enough, but he was able to bring in major heads of state to talk solely about this issue. And for the first time in recent history, to have a president take on this issue on a world basis and say we have to start reducing these nuclear weapons, and we have to start having more order and having them contained, I thought was at least a good first step in looking at things in a different way.
I think a lot of people would probably agree with that. We know it happens in steps.
Right, and I'm not saying it to deflect from what you're there for, please, but I did want to, that was the big thing today, is that we were, just to see our president, which I don't think would have happened with the last president, as frustrated as you may be with some other things, haven't seen him take on this major global issue, no matter if no one cares about it or not at home right now, and I think some people do. He took it on because he felt it was the right thing to do. So.
Well, we would agree with that, but this is Sue Ann again, but it does not, why can't he do the same thing for the Afghan war? Why can't Congress stand up and say, we need money here. We need to protect ourselves in this country. We're destroying ourselves. We think we're protecting ourselves in these wars somehow or from Al Qaeda, but we're really destroying ourselves because we've destroyed our economy and everything else. So, I know we're limited in time, but.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, everybody, and thank you again for your work. And